for Calgary-Midnapore.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I come to you today from the beautiful riding of Calgary-Midnapore. Further back, I asked the Finance Minister to stop pretending to convince Canadians that all is well with the economy. But what she doesn't seem to understand still, Madam Speaker, is that the majority of Canadians simply don't see it that way. What they do see, Madam Speaker, is that their family can't afford the same groceries that they used to, and that they will have to squeak in just one more trip back and forth to pick up the kids from school before having to buy another tank of gas. And that Canadians are looking to the government to provide solutions. 68% of Canadians are concerned they may not be able to afford gasoline. 60% of Canadians are concerned they might not have enough to feed their family. Enough money to feed their family. Cooking oils are up 26.5%. Electricity is up 8.2%. Oranges are up 9.4%. Cooking appliances are up 9.4%. Meat is up 11.7%. Bakery products are up 5.7%. And only 16.3% of Canadians share a positive outlook on future finances 6 months from now. Madam Speaker, the statistics don't lie. And despite what the government says in this House, Canadians aren't stupid. The Prime Minister tried to defend this today, saying that he thinks that the Conservatives believe that the government is doing too much. That is just not the case. The government is doing the wrong things. They are not doing the right things. They are making their decisions based on ideology and vote grabbing, as we saw with the recent Liberal NDP coalition. They tried to say, oh, we're providing daycare, when this exact system has been absolutely trouble fraught in Quebec. And I've had many people tell me that it doesn't address the needs of both single people and seniors and those who have already had their children go through the system. Madam Speaker, Canadians aren't stupid. The government will try and blame the pandemic on supply chains when they sent our own PPE across the ocean. They'll try and blame it, we're going to hear it in the response, on the Ukraine, when this government has done nothing but support undemocratic regimes and dictators across this world. They could have done so much more in an effort to prevent all of this, Madam Speaker. Canadians aren't stupid. And in fact, the arrogance every day that we hear from this government, the ignorance that we hear every day from this government, that this government is so entirely out of touch is all that we hear, Madam Speaker, in the House. And you know what? Despite what they say, Canadians aren't stupid. Now, Madam Speaker, we have this NDP Liberal coalition. In Huma last week, they couldn't tell me how much a dental program will cost. They couldn't tell me how much a pharmacare program will cost. They couldn't tell me what the housing initiatives will cost. But we can do nothing but prepare for that in the budget tomorrow. And again, Canadians will see nothing but spending which achieves so little to help them in their cost of living, Madam Speaker. Let's hear what the response is, but regardless of what it is, Madam Speaker, Canadians aren't stupid. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister for Tourism and for the Associate Finance Minister.
Merci beaucoup, Madame la...
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like to thank my honourable colleague for her question. I would like to admit, Madam Speaker, that I find it rather interesting as far as questions go.
I agree with my colleague from Calgary-Midnapore. Canadians are not stupid. Absolutely not. And that's why Canadians understand that the inflation that we are seeing here at home, while concerning, is not a made-in-Canada problem. It just isn't. And anybody who reads the newspaper or knows the facts knows that. Our inflation here in Canada is lower than the G7 average, lower than the OECD average, even lower than the G20 average, Madam Speaker, it doesn't mean that it's not an issue that needs to be tackled. Absolutely not. But when the member claims that this is something that was somehow created by our government, she seems to equate that with our support of dictators, because somehow the fact that we are supporting the Ukrainian people, the fact that we have been sending arms in order to support the tremendous effort of Ukrainian civilians fighting for their lives and for democracy, I must admit her argument is entirely disjointed, but I think Canadians who are not stupid see that. I would also like to get to the heart of the matter, and that is the general view of Conservative colleagues that somehow the extraordinary spending that was required during the pandemic was the wrong thing to do. I would remind the member opposite that we went into the pandemic with the best fiscal balance sheet in the G7, and that today, Madam Speaker, after that spending, we still have here in Canada the best fiscal balance sheet in the G7. And that is because it was the right thing to do. Tomorrow we are expecting the budget, and I do look forward to all of the members commenting on what is in that budget. But I'm very comfortable saying that it is about affordability, because the Minister of Finance, myself, and our entire government are concerned about affordability. We always have been, Madam Speaker, which is why the Canada Child Benefit is indexed to inflation. It is why so many of our programs to support seniors, to support vulnerable Canadians, is indexed to inflation. What does that mean? It means that Canadians actually receive a more generous amount of support from the federal government when inflation increases. That helps them put food on the table. It helps them put a roof over their head. And Madam Speaker, I will not apologize for that. We also know that we need to be fiscally responsible, and I think the budget will speak for itself on that matter. Madam Speaker, I thank you for your time, and I look forward to the rebuttal from my colleague.
Honourable Member for Calgary-Midnapore.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'll turn to an article from David Aiken. He says, Canadians are in many parts of this country really feeling the pressure, especially people with more precarious employment, women, people with kids at home, people who are under real pressure as a result of what they see as an unplanned rising cost of living that they're now having to manage. And they're looking to this budget for a signal from the government that they got it and that they've got some ideas about how to deal with it. A majority, 53%, listed help with the soaring costs of everyday needs due to inflation as one of their three top priorities. That was followed by 45% listing lower taxes as a top priority and 40% telling the pollster that greater investments in healthcare ought to be a priority. It concludes that the previous issues of idealisticness now have a lower priority according to polling. Polling is one good thing that this government is good at following, Madam Speaker. But tomorrow, I hope they remember Canadians aren't stupid. Thank you very much.
Parliamentary Secretary.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. As a Quebec woman, it is important for me to highlight something that was raised by my colleague. Something that I find very surprising and disappointing, that has to do with her comments with regards to childcare. The fact that our government determined that that would be a priority to have a national pan-Canadian childcare program in order to allow women to make a choice so that they can flourish in their career, like me, like the honourable member, so that women may have both a career and a family. I would also like to add that she is completely wrong when she says that it hasn't worked in Quebec. It's worked, and it's worked well. The facts have proven it. Unfortunately, I don't have time to expound on the matter, but, Madam Speaker, she should have read up on it a bit more before speaking about it.